That's right. You get to see my pretty face because this time I'm live. No, I'm not live. But I wanted to talk about finally the new episode of The Ultimate Fighter McGregor versus Faber. Now, last week it wasn't on because of baseball. And if you're a baseball fan, my Dodgers suck. And of course, they're out of the playoffs again. Even the Cubs. I was hoping for the Cubs to make a run, but they're out too. Anyway, that's baseball. We're talking UFC. We're talking Faber versus McGregor. We're talking Julian Erosa versus, sorry if I butchered this name, Mehdi Baghdad. Now, Julian being on Team Faber and Baghdad being on Team McGregor. The competition's 2-2. Both teams have won two fights. Both teams are, it's 2-2. So in this episode, we basically saw McGregor just talking a lot of smack talk, talking all this. Yeah, I'm very entertained by McGregor. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm entertained by him, even though he's the biggest douchebag in the world. I loved how his whole team, for the fight to commence with Baghdad, they all dressed up like McGregor. They all wore fancy clothes and stuff. It was kind of funny. It's funny how Faber and McGregor could be at it at sometimes, not heated, but they always talk shit back and forth. But in other times, they're just like they talk that smack, yet they're kidding around. Or Faber bought him flip flops in this episode, and I loved how McGregor's like, "Oh, $29.99, you're buying flip flops for $29.99." And Faber's like, "Nah, I got that discount rack, buddy." So it's hilarious. And then McGregor's like, "Oh, then I have to buy you something Irish." My Irish impressions comes and goes as it goes. But in this episode, I think it's not about the fighters really, which is kind of a disappointment because in UFC you want to really connect to a lot of these fighters, their stories. But that's not necessarily the case for this season. This is the problem of it. We're more interested in McGregor and Faber. More McGregor, because McGregor is really what's making this show, honestly, making it entertaining. I'm surprised they don't do any more challenges for Ultimate Fighter, which is kind of a bummer. I do like the challenges that usually they go through and stuff. It's a team competitive sport. No, it's not team competitive. It's actually an individual sport, but when it comes to Ultimate Fighter, you have a team and you're trying to go for big money here. But going to McGregor talking smack about TJ, how he left Faber and the whole situation with him. We finally get some insight on it about, if you're not really sure about what's going on here, how TJ grew up with, I believe his name was TJ, but basically he's known Faber for such a long time. Faber really brought him into the industry. Really, that was his boy. He really gave him an opportunity, and he was loyal to Faber. He was loyal to the team, and the Mitch trainer, or one of the trainers, went off, and he joined the other trainer. He's back and forth with Faber and the other guy. I think his name is Dwayne, something like that. But the situation, McGregor is somewhat right, but then some really wrong, because Faber's still cool with TJ. TJ came and helped out some of the guys. I mean, with his valuable time, and really showed him a thing or two. So he's still very much Faber's friend, and Faber counts him as a friend as well. And he wants to be known as he is part of Faber's team, his gym. But McGregor says he's a snake. He's slithering around. That's not a true. He went off. He just abandoned Faber, and he's trying to tell Faber, you need to look at that. It's a situation that it's none of McGregor's business. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We don't know what we're talking about. The only people who know what they're talking about is Faber, TJ, and whoever's involved in that situation. It does kind of strike like, why would you leave Faber when you've been there since the very beginning? But that whole situation is their business. He's a grown-ass man. Like I said, this is not a team-oriented sport. It is not. You have trainers, you have a gym, they help you out, but you do not want to be the offensive lineman. You want to be the quarterback. You want the glory and everything. You say thank you this, thank you that, thank you this, But honest, it's your name. Your name is out there. You're fighting the fight, and it's up to you, and you're the quarterback of this whole situation. So you get all the glory. So that's how I feel about UFC, honestly, and how yes, it's you build, you gain, you get momentum, you become better with your team, but in all, it's an individual sport. You gain everything as an individual, and you strive to gain everything as an individual. So that's my thoughts on that. But the McGregor, it just got heated. Both teams, at one point, Faber's team, I forgot who it was, basically yells at McGregor. They get in a little altercation, and it's a team photo, which is so funny because afterwards they had to do a photo shoot. But just a mess overall. And honestly, it's just kind of, I tend to like this drama, especially with Rousey and Misha Tate. I thought that was incredible. I just want to see what those two would do to each other, but I did also care about the fighters. This season, it's really, you don't really care, honestly. You don't really get any insight. There's not really a fighter you're kind of rooting for, in my opinion. I'm not rooting for really anybody so far. I do like Ryan Hall, but overall, just nobody really caught my eye. This fight, however, see, that's the problem. I'm talking about McGregor when I should be talking about the fight. And the fight itself was very, very good. And they're right, it could have went either way. I wanted to see a third round. However, I had Baghdad winning that fight with more power strikes. But Faber had a point. Julian dodged some of those punches, and he's just so unorthodox that it seems like he's getting hurt, but he really isn't. Both of these fighters came out, they came swinging, lots of great strikes, lots of unorthodox from Julian. I did love his punches where he would just leap and try to get that little uppercut in. I did like some of his kicks. I like the use of his kicks. However, I did like Baghdad in his aggressive style, going in there and landing hard shots. His striking, I thought, was better than Julian's. Even though Julian is definitely an unorthodox fighter, Baghdad, definitely his simplicity and him just really putting those combos together and hitting the mark. I thought he won the fight, honestly, and Julian barely lost the fight. But if I saw it, maybe it should have gone to a third round, and it should have gone to a third round. It actually was a very entertaining fight. There was a lot of movement. Never was there a dull moment. There was a lot going on in this fight. They never really went to the ground either. It was all striking, which you kind of want to see. You want to see two guys just try to see who's the best. But people, that's why it's called MMA, mixed martial arts. But sometimes it's great to see just striking and just to see who knocks each other out first. I thought Baghdad, for a couple of shots that he gave Julian, that he was going to get him. That sometimes he would put these combos together, get him in the cage, but Julian was smart enough to really roll out of there, but get out of there. But I really did think Baghdad won this fight. The striking for both fighters was fantastic. I thought they were great. The movement was great. The dodging for Julian was not that great. The unorthodox combos he put up were great. But Julian ended up winning the fight. And McGregor wasn't pissed. He said, you know what, Baghdad, you fought your heart out. You're a warrior. You're entertaining. I can't wait to see you again. Faber really made some key points, saying, listen, it really could have went either way, but Julian, if you look and really study and break down that fight, he wasn't really getting hit. He was dodging a lot of those punches. I would have to go watch it at least 3 more times to see if Faber's points are right on the money, but seeing the slow-mo and seeing the replay, he is right on the money. But I would love to go back and just watch this fight and break it down, because I was a little tired watching it, but it was very entertaining and I did enjoy it. I did think, I don't know about Julian's, if this fighting style could really work in the future fights, but he won the fight, so you got to give it up to Julian. And Faber is up a fight on McGregor, and it's great to see a nice, entertaining fight, even though it went the distance. I would like to see some knockouts, a little bit more submissions maybe. I do like the ground game as well, but overall, it was a good fight. It was a good fight, bottled down by an episode where it's just focused on McGregor and his antics and his just childish, honestly. But he is the most entertaining thing in the show, because the house itself they even said it themselves. that situation is their coaches. Their coach, that's them. But we have our coaches back. However, once we get into the house, we just move on from it and we focus on fighting, which is great, which is really great. But I really do feel I'm disconnected with some of these fighters because I'm not getting to know them a lot. And even though they're still talking and still giving out their story and telling you why they love to fight, maybe because I've seen so many seasons of Ultimate Fighter that I've heard it all before. But it's but you got to give it your hands out to these fighters, especially these two who fought last night. That, you know, they put up a good show. They definitely put up a good show. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Push that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. I work very hard. I try to get so many other videos out for you. I cannot wait for the Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm fight. But not only that, I also do boxing, and I got big money on Miguel Cotto versus Canelo, and I will make a video on that, on why I have Miguel Cotto winning that fight. So, and then of course the Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm, I'll have a video on who will win that fight. I think I already have a video on that, but I like to talk a little bit more about those two upcoming big matchups. And of course, I'll try to get more UFC in. I thought I will. McGregor and Aldo, I'll have a video on that. My boy Aldo, he's got this. I think Aldo will kick McGregor's ass, honestly. But I would love to see McGregor versus Faber or TJ. That would be awesome. So, like the video if you like it, and comment below. Let me hear your guys' thoughts. I know, yeah, that's basically it. I know I'm awesome. So, I'm Danny Man, son.